Hi, my name is Wendy Wesley, and I'm a registered dietitian and nutritionist, and I'm here in my kitchen in St. Petersburg, Florida. And today I want to make something for you that I've been making for a long time, ever since the first time I had it in New York City, and it's hummus. And I know there's a lot of commercial hummus that there is to be bought in the store, and it's really good, but if it's something you'd like to learn how to make, and you thought it was beyond you, I'm here to tell you it's not beyond you. It's really something super easy to make. Now, a long time ago when I was making hummus, in the beginning, I used to take my chickpeas and I would peel off the hull of each little chickpea because I thought it would make it smoother, and it probably did make it smoother, but it was kind of a boring task, and it took a long time, and I don't bother with that anymore. But you can see what I'm doing here is I'm peeling kind of the outer hull off the chickpea. I'll hold that up real close. Here's the chickpea, and here's the hull. And it will make for a smoother chickpea, and I have heard you can put your chickpeas between like a kitchen towel and rub it, and the hulls will come off. But here's the thing. Packed in this hull is a lot of soluble and insoluble fiber that is going to help your GI stay regular. So I recommend that you just keep the hulls on the chickpeas and that you just use your food processor. You blend it and blend it and blend it. The longer you blend it, the smoother your hummus will get. So don't worry about these. Go ahead and save them, eat them. Talk about fiber. Really super. You know, I'm like obsessed with fiber. So these are just store brand chickpeas. I've used store brand, I've used name brand, national brand. I think this is one of the things you can go ahead and safely buy store brand, because as far as I'm concerned, chickpeas are chickpeas or chickpeas, or, you know, they're also garbanzo beans, but brand to brand, they don't matter. A bean is a bean is a bean. And incidentally, the recipe I'm going to make for you today is totally vegan, and it's super flavorful. I'm not one for kitchen gadgets, but there is a gadget that I will never ever live without, and this is my trusty Cuisinart food processor. And this is a workhorse in the kitchen, and so I'm not one for gadgets in the kitchen, but this one gets to stay because it gets used a lot, and it is a wonderful high quality machine. So I make my hummus in this food processor. You could probably do it in a blender. I've also used an immersion blender with it before, but I find I just get this marvelous, very silky consistency when I use my Cuisinart workhorse awesome food processor that you see right here. So first step, what I've done is I've opened the can of beans and I have rinsed them about 3 or 4 times. And so these beans, when you look at the nutrition facts label, it's 350 milligrams of sodium per serving, and the serving size is just a half cup. So that's a lot of sodium for not a lot of food. So, but when you rinse and drain the water that is in this can, you're sending all that salt down the sink. So after there is salt in the beans, but not as much because the majority of the salt was in the water. So I'm just gonna pour these in the food processor like that. The second ingredient I have is something called tahini. And you may have heard of tahini. You may have had a tahini drizzle on falafel in a Middle Eastern restaurant. Tahini is awesome. It's marvelous. And it's just one ingredient. It's sesame seeds. It's like sesame seed peanut butter, if you will. It's ground up sesame seeds. And in it it's an oily mixture because sesame seeds contain oil naturally. So you open this up and it's this incredible sesame flavor. It's marvelous. I used to have to go to specialty stores to buy it, but now I can get it at Publix. So what I did was I mixed a quarter cup of the tahini in this bowl with some cold water, and I mixed it up, and I'm going to add this to the chickpeas. And let me say this about tahini. I think tahini will make your hummus better, but if you don't have it or you don't feel like buying it, don't worry about it. Just do your chickpeas and minus the tahini and follow the rest of the recipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my lid on, and I'm going to get these going just a little bit, just to kind of get them moving, just to get them moving around. Can you hear me? I don't know. So I'm going to take off the lid, and then what I'm not going to add to this recipe is salt, because a couple of things, the chickpeas have salt. I'm probably going to add just a little bit of hot sauce, any brand will do. I'm going to add a sriracha, or this is Frank's, any kind of hot sauce, just a little bit, just to give it a little kick. This has salt. So the beans have salt. This has salt, and also be careful with any of your spices. Now this is Trader Joe's smoked paprika, and I really love a smoky hummus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of this smoked paprika and it is salt-free. I made sure. I wouldn't have bought it if it had salt in it, because it's just too easy for me to, I'm kind of heavy-handed with spices, and if the spice has salt, I have a tendency to have food that's way, way, way too salty. And my next ingredient this is cumin. Again, no salt, just cumin. God, I love cumin. And I'm really, really liberal with the spices with this recipe. And then, of course, you have to have garlic in your, at least I have to have garlic in my hummus. So what I'm gonna do, I have a couple of little cloves. So garlic comes in the big thing you buy in the grocery store is called a bulb. It's called a bulb of garlic, and these are called cloves of garlic. And you see they have this papery skin on the outside. So what I'm gonna do, over here, I'm gonna move my food processor. Don't fall off the edge of the counter. I've got my cutting board. What I actually use is this is my garlic press. I use the garlic press and I smash it. And well, that was a big smash. And so what happened is that papery skin just kind of fell right off of the clove of garlic. I'm going to push that aside. And what I have left is just this really just the garlic that I'm going to put into the press. Well, I smashed that too hard. You can't see it. But yeah, I smashed it way too hard. Guess I was taking my aggression out on something. So anyway, put the garlic here into my press. And some people say, why are you using a press? Isn't that a gadget? Yeah, a garlic press is one of those gadgets that gets to stay, because I really like to get this tiny fine mince, because the finer mince you get on garlic, the more potent it is. So I'm just going to squeeze this right into the bowl of my food processor. I'm going to shave it off with a knife. I have 2 other cloves of garlic. Let me do one more real fast. And what you can also do is slam it with the edge of the knife. I use the garlic press to slam it, but you can slam it with the edge of the knife. So here I go. Ready? Boom. And one more time. And see, this paper will just, oh, look at that. See, it just came right off. Lovely. And I put the clove into the press. Give it a hard squeeze. Squeeze. And here comes this lovely garlic. Okay. Wonderful. So that's 2 cloves of fresh garlic. You can do more, you can do less, you can omit it. It all depends on your taste. Okay. So I am going to get this going. Before I get this going, I'm going to make a statement about lemon juice. If I had fresh lemons today in my kitchen, I would, of course, put fresh lemons into it, but I don't. So I'm going to use this lemon juice. This, to me, is one of these kitchen staples. You should always just have this in the fridge, because you just never know when you're going to need lemon juice. I know, you purists, or you're probably cursing me out because I'm using bottled lemon juice, but I'm also trying to make cooking more accessible for people. And one of the ways I make cooking more accessible for people is to get rid of perfectionism. And this is one way I have kind of taken it easy on myself, and I get rid of perfectionism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate lemon juice and olive oil as I mix this up. And see, I have kind of this feeder tub, and there's a tiny little hole in the bottom. And so I'm going to pour some lemon juice in here. And I'm going to start the motor going. And this lemon juice is feeding down through the hole. Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Maybe it's better that way. You can't hear me. Okay. All right. And now I'm gonna. This is Greek olive oil. I buy olive oil in the gallon metal tub that I actually go to City Produce up on 4th Street, and it's imported from Greece. And Greek olive oil is actually my favorite olive oil, so that's how I buy mine. And then I store it in this kind of decanter that I keep behind the stove, and I cook with it. So I'm going to add some olive oil. I'll let that drain down, and then I'll give it one more. If I were not on camera, I would just blend this and blend this and blend this. And the longer you blend it, the silkier and the smoother it gets. And the longer it sits, I'm saying the longer it sits, the more intense that garlic gets. I will taste it for salt. If I think it does need a little bit of salt, I'll add some, and if it doesn't, I won't, because like I said, the beans have salt, and this little bit of hot sauce I put in has salt. So last thing I want to talk about is alternatives to cracker dippers. So these are radishes. They've already been opened. I'm going to open up the package and show you what the label is. These are actually grown in Florida. So I'm always trying to buy produce that is grown in Florida. So these are radishes grown in Florida. The brand name is Dandy, and These make amazing dippers. So what you do, this is a radish is a root vegetable. Here is the root. Here's where it came out of the ground. And most root vegetables, like carrots, are root vegetable and very good for hummus. But this is a very, very low moisture food. And a low moisture food is kind of like a cracker, because a cracker is crunchy and it's not soggy. You don't want something soggy in your hummus. You want something that's kind of low moisture. So I think that the radish is a wonderful dipper alternative for a cracker in your hummus. The other wonderful thing about radishes is they're spicy, and so you get this kind of spicy crunch that goes with your hummus. So I'm going to take a quick cut with my sharp knife, and I'm going to make radish dipper discs. This can also be done with kohlrabi. This can be done with turnips, and like I said, of course, the old standby carrots. They're all root vegetables. They're all low moisture. So here we are. Look how pretty this is. Look at the gorgeous white on the inside of these radishes, and then the beautiful red. Where you see all this color, including the white, you see antioxidants. So where you see color in your food, you will find antioxidants. I'm going to give this one more quick run. It is looking really, really good, just the way I love it. And I'm going to take a quick dip with my radish into my hummus, and I'm checking for taste, and I'm checking for salt. That is perfect. It's very lemony. It's very creamy. Maybe you could just use a little bit of salt, because that little bit of salt will kick up that garlic, and that's really what you want. And that's, I should finish chewing. I'm being very rude. Sorry. And that's what I have for you today. My name is Wendy Wesley, and I'm a registered dietitian here in my kitchen in St. Pete, Florida, making hummus with radish dippers. Talk about wonderful fiber and antioxidants from the beans and the dippers, and staying regular during this time, eating vegan, staying away from processed foods. This is how we stay healthy and mount a better immune system. And I thank you for watching. Okay, bye-bye.